Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. As most people could probably assume, as soon as we'd heard that Assassin's Creed Shadows was getting delayed by Ubisoft, that it was definitely going to cost them some extra money. But ladies and gentlemen, we've actually got the CEO out there admitting in a recent earnings call exactly how much money they are spending with this delay all the way till February, Black History Month, which I'm sure isn't kind of, particular in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, it's one of those situations where actually you end up looking at the amount of money they're using for this. It sounds like it's probably going to end up being a little bit more than just some polishing and bug fixes. But after the disastrous dumpster fire that was Star Wars Outlaws and its abysmal launch and how much of a broken and buggy mess was, it sounds like that's exactly what they're trying to do, because they're essentially saying that the Star Wars Outlaws launch taught us a few things. Yeah, like try not launching a broken and buggy mess on day one with a bunch of patches that end up ruining everybody's early access. Yeah, probably not the best idea out there. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is fascinating because $20 million on just a little polishing and some bug fixes. Yeah, methinks there might be a little bit more to it. And to lead a little credence to this, there's some Ubisoft insiders out there that have spoken out recently, and it looks like they've got some inside track as to what this $20 million is going to end up getting spent on. And I think that's going to tell you a lot about how much Ubisoft realizes they have screwed up when it comes to the last couple of games that they put out, and now they're trying to course correct as quickly as they possibly can. But hey, boys and girls, I think this one's a sinking ship that they're not going to be able to plug the holes on, but we will find out. So we're going to check this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all of the juicy details. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share it with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 600. We're on our way to 700, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Were you a big Assassin's Creed fan for a long time like I was? Have you been disappointed with some of the more recent games? Did you actually have hope for Assassin's Creed Shadows being the first one out there in Japan? What do you think about all this stuff going on with the game? Do you think they'll actually be able to fix this and make for a successful launch out there? Or do you think this thing's going to end up burning itself down to the ground just like Outlaws did? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to help support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet John F. Trent. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot confirms Assassin's Creed Shadows delay is costing the company an extra $20 million. Ooh, boys and girls. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot confirmed that the company is spending an additional $20 million on Assassin's Creed Shadows by delaying the game to February. Ubisoft announced back in September that it would be delaying the game to February 14th. It wrote in a press release, Assassin's Creed Shadows will now be released on February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day. Yeah, because isn't that just what you want to get your lover an Assassin's Creed Shadows game, boys and girls? Probably just also happens to fall on like a Friday or something. I haven't actually looked it up, but that's probably the actual case. Which cool if Valentine's Day shows up on a Friday. That'd be fun. As for why, the company explained, well, the game is a feature complete. Oh, really? Feature complete, so all the main mechanics are already built into the game. The learnings from Star Wars Outlaws led us to provide additional time to further polish the title. Yeah, we only want them to be able to roast us over all of the DEI stuff and not a broken and buggy game. Because there's no one, even if you don't play video games, if you don't know anything about video games, you can look at a broken and buggy game and realize that, yeah, that's messed up and it shouldn't be working that way. So they're trying to avoid that backlash at least. This will enable the biggest entry in the franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by filling the promises of our dual protagonist adventure, with Nioi and Yasuku bringing two very different gameplay styles. Oh yes, one's a big lumbering brute that's going to smash through a bunch of these Japanese people's houses and smash through their doors and completely and totally disrespect their culture in every other way, and the other one's going to be an actual assassin. Yeah, can't wait to see how that's going to pan out for people. Furthermore, the company revealed, we're departing from our traditional season pass model. All players will be able to enjoy the game at the same time on February 14th, and those who pre-order the game will be granted the first expansion for free. So yes, please, if you at least give us back some of the money all the money that we refunded to you, if you're willing to give this back to us, we'll give you the first DLC that was probably just part of what was supposed to initially be in the game that we broke out and took out and made as part of a DLC. We're going to give you that for free, quote unquote. Yeah, thanks guys. The game will mark to a return of our new releases on Steam day one. Now, isn't that fascinating? Because boys and girls, not only does that get me excited, but it also shows you that after the abysmal failure that Star Wars Outlaws was, they realized that just having it on their own personal launcher doesn't work out very well for them in any way, shape, or form. Because guess what? Anybody that's not just hardcore interested in this game is not going to go out of their way to download a brand new launcher and deal with all of its other nonsense and garbage that comes with it, all to download a game that really doesn't look all that interesting to begin with. So of course they're going to spread it out there to the broadest audience possible. And the best part for anybody like me or anybody out there, the rest out there who reports on this kind of stuff, when that happens, we'll have legitimate numbers from SteamDB that we'll be able to go over to see exactly how bad this game actually does. And boys and girls, that is going to be fascinating to watch. So obviously they go on and talk about all of the delays and yada, 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 and everything else that they're trying to do and all of that kind of stuff as well. So this is one of the things where it goes on to say, so this is one of the guys that comes on and asks about this. Is the BMO investor. This is also a BMO investor that asked a lot of good stuff about Star Wars Outlaws. Sounds like it's a smart investor. On Assassin's Creed Shadows, you said you guys delayed the game. You kept saying it was feature ready. So I'm curious, when you went through and looked back at the game, were you guys finding bugs? Looking back, were you glad you moved it? And I think you talked about an extra $20 million in development costs from doing this. How is that tracking? So he responds, on Assassin's Creed Shadows, what we said was that we had on the back of what we saw with Outlaws, we needed to really make sure that we came with an impeccable player experience. Yeah, not a broken and buggy mess. Of course, there are always some bugs. Yeah, like your stealth thing causing you to slide all the way across the table. Yeah. But we've been focusing and continue focusing on making sure that the day one experience will be optimized. Yeah. Do I need to talk about broken and buggy mess anymore? And yes, you're right. We had mentioned that to translate into about $20 million in the total budget, as we've kept a strong level of resources on this last phase of development and polishing. Oh, polishing and development. So you're still actively developing the game. Well, that would certainly explain the extra $20 million price tag now, wouldn't it? So what could some of that be going on with? Costing an extra $20 million appears to lead credence to the company not just doing bug fixing and polishing, but could be making significant changes to the characters and the game's story. So over at Insider Gaming, the claim that the polishing of the game includes changing some of Yasuki's story, how he's portrayed in the game, and fixing architectural details and ensuring the game is historically grounded while fitting into the Assassin's Creed universe. They're literally changing the story. They're literally changing the story this late in the game because of all of the backlash they have gotten on this game. And that is a credence to every single fan out there who has made their voices heard, and every single person out there in Japan who has made a video or talked about this. You are the reason they are doing this. So congratulations. Take a victory lap on that one. The game is currently not at a stage when it needs to be for release, and I'm told there have been some tweaks to some gameplay mechanics and elements that are going to take time to incorporate. Yep. So not only was this game going to be another broken and buggy mess that would have failed to launch just like Star Wars Outlaws, but now they're spending so much more money on it because they know that all of the backlash they have gotten from their historical inaccuracies, and I don't know, maybe the gameplay footage of their black protagonist stomping through a Japanese village and destroying all of their homes probably wasn't the best look for a guy who's supposed to be the hero. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, they have decided to go down the path of diversity, inclusion, and equity, and we all know where that always ends up landing because they try to concentrate on all of that kind of stuff, and they end up giving us a broken and buggy mess. It doesn't matter if it's Star Wars Outlaws. It doesn't matter if it's the Saints Row reboot. This kind of stuff happens every single time because they believe their diversity, inclusion, and equity, spirit of the age nonsense matters more than anything else, and that you will just bow down and worship at the exact same altar and cult that they will. Well, guess what, Ubisoft? You've you've gotten a serious wake-up call with the disastrous dumpster fire that was Star Wars Outlaws. It has cost you hundreds of millions of dollars and will end up being a black mark and a black stain against your company, just like so many other things have been in the past. And now you are scrambling, spending an extra $20 million trying to fix what would have been a broken and buggy mess right from launch that was going to be Assassin's Creed Shadows. You know what? At least you're doing the smart thing and trying to save some kind of face. But at the end of the day, even launching it on Steam to a much broader audience is not going to get you anywhere. The jig is up. The gamers out there can smell the nonsense and the BS from a mile away at this point. And when a game has this many red flags, there is only one guaranteed direction for it to go, and that is to an abysmal failure and a flop. I may end up being wrong, and I will gladly correct myself, but I, for one, boys and girls, cannot wait to see those Steam numbers. It's going to be spicy. And guess what, Ubisoft? The $20 million and everything else you get after this game comes out is exactly what you deserve. After all, you did it to yourself.